You ready for the weekend review express version? We had final match days in Germany and England, and so I'll tell you all the important stats from those two countries, as well as set up the final match days in Italy, Spain, and France. And where are my manners? I'm Adrian, and welcome to Rabona TV. If you find yourself enjoying this video at any point, then feel free to subscribe. Keyword being free. It won't cost you a thing. Also, I'll be doing a double upload today as I react to my Premier League predictions, so don't miss that a little bit later today. Okay, and as I said earlier, the final match day of the Premier League. A sad day for some and a happy day for others, depending on your fortunes throughout the season. First off, Arsenal paid tribute to Arsene Wenger in his final match day as the Arsenal manager, as they won 1-0 away to Huddersfield, claiming their first points away from home in 2018. I could say a lot about Arsene Wenger as my own tribute to him, but instead, I went ahead and made a video about how he has been one of the most influential managers of all time. Keyword influential. If you watch any of my videos this week, make sure it's that one. I'll link to it in the ending screen of this video, so there's no excuse not to watch it now. Anyways, Aubameyang scored once again, taking his goal involvement across his last 10 matches up to 13. Having played his first match for Arsenal in February, he scored only one goal less than Alvaro Morata and has the same amount of assists as Hazard. Speaking of Chelsea and perhaps underperforming players, they went away to Newcastle and absolutely crumbled. A 3-0 loss. Brutal stuff, and it will be interesting to see what happens at Chelsea over the summer as far as resurrecting. They're going to be in the Europa League. Because, you know, Chelsea love to completely blow their team up and then rise from the ashes like an oil-funded phoenix. That's actually a good nickname for them, the oil-funded phoenixes. Man, it must be so weird to be a Chelsea fan, from dominant to brutal, and back to dominant, and back to brutal again. It's gotta be a total mind fuck. Liverpool made the most of their final match day at home to Brighton with a 4-0 win, a historic match for Mohamed Salah, of course. Salah became the first player ever in Premier League history to score 32 goals across a 38-match season. In doing so, he scored against 17 different opponents, the most a player has ever managed in a single season. There's only 2 teams he failed to score against. If you're a Liverpool fan, then you're probably also very happy to see Andrew Robertson score his first goal for the club, as he's been a standout performer all season long, and perhaps was a little unlucky to not get into the team of the season over Marcos Alonso. Also, shout out to Dominic Solanke for getting his first Premier League goal for Liverpool as well. Harry Kane wasn't ready to give up the Golden Boot chase too easily, as his Tottenham side played an absolute classic against Leicester City, eventually coming out on top as 5-4 winners. Eric Lamela scored a brace, both assists by right back Kyle Walker-Peters, while Harry Kane grabbed a brace as well to take his tally up to 30 goals on the season and 41 across all competitions. The first Spurs player to score over 40 goals in a season since the 86-87 season. Clive Allen was that player, by the way. United beat Watford 1-0, but it wasn't exactly pretty, as they only had the one shot on target. Michael Carrick, of course, played his final match in his career, and it's looking like he could be the future assistant to Jose Mourinho, as Rui Faria is leaving his longtime managing partner at the end of the season. Also at the bottom, it was confirmed that Swansea are going down to the Championship after 7 years in the top flight, alongside West Brom and Stoke. So, all the promoted teams have survived. Good on them. Finally, respect to Manchester City, who at least by numbers have conferred themselves to be the best Premier League side of all time. Most goals scored, most points accumulated with 100, most wins. This was in fact Pep Guardiola's first time achieving 100 points in a single league campaign in his career, and they got it via a 93rd minute winner by Gabriel Jesus, assisted by Kevin De Bruyne to make him the top playmaker in the league with 16 assists, one ahead of his teammate Leroy Sané and the rest of their team, who follow in order. Alright, that will suffice for the Prem. Now, let's see what happened in the Bundesliga. First, at the bottom, Hamburger SV got the win they needed to steal the playoff spot from Wolfsburg, but Wolfsburg also won, meaning that HSV is the last of the founding members of the Bundesliga to get relegated for the first time. So after 54 years of top-flight football, they will finally be going down. They've played 1,866 matches, scoring 2,937 goals, winning 746 games, and losing 625. That's an unlucky first for the Hamburger fans, and it was a not-so-nice second for the Bayern Munich fans, as they lost 4-1 at home to VfB Stuttgart, meaning this was only the second time since moving to the Allianz Arena that Bayern Munich has conceded 4 goals at home in a Bundesliga match. Surprising, given that they fielded their first teamers in this one, but They must have had their minds on the partying already. Also, Stuttgart was looking for a Europa League place, and they would have had it if RB Leipzig failed to win against Hertha Berlin, but luckily for the Roten Bullen, they won 6-2 away against Hertha Berlin. In perhaps the biggest match of the weekend, in Germany at least, Hoffenheim hosted Borussia Dortmund. The setting was simple for Borussia Dortmund. A point was all they needed in order to make Bayer Leverkusen's result completely irrelevant to their Champions League qualification, while Hoffenheim needed a win. With the match ending 3-1 to Hoffenheim, they leapfrogged Borussia Dortmund into third place, while Leverkusen also won, but 3-2, meaning they had the same amount of points as Dortmund, and Hoffenheim in fact, but an inferior goal difference to Dortmund by about +3. So, Dortmund just squeaks into the Champions League with 55 points, and a superior goal difference, obviously. Dortmund's manager, Peter Stoger, announced he was resigning after the loss to Hoffenheim, and I think for the most part, Dortmund fans will find that as a bit of relief, as this was a bit of a disastrous season by their standards. 29 points adrift of first place? Yikes. In France, shout out to Rennes as they beat PSG at the Parc des Princes 2-0. And apparently, they are the only team that have beaten PSG more than once at the PDP since the Qatari sports investors took over the club. PSG, of course, wrapped up the title years ago, basically, but they've now gone winless in their last 3 matches, which is not a great way to bring your season to a close. Monaco, on the other hand, continued their quiet season, a quiet season in which they have found themselves bouncing between 2nd and 3rd, and with this weekend's 1-0 win over Saint-Etienne and Lyon's loss, they now hold on to 2nd, which is also the automatic qualification into the Champions League, although it could still change via the last match day. Lyon, by the way, lost away to Strasbourg thanks to a late rally from the lower table team. In the 88th minute, Nuno da Costa leveled the match, and Dimitri Liénard scored the 93rd minute winner. Congrats to Strasbourg. Marseille were unable to find a winner in a crazy match against Guingamp that ended 3-3 with Steve Mandanda getting sent off in the 66th minute. However, Florian Thauvin continued his incredible season by grabbing a brace on the night as he becomes the first Marseille player since the 92-93 season to score 22 goals. It'll be interesting to see how he does this Wednesday in the Europa League final against Atletico Madrid. You guys want to watch that match with me? Because you should. We'll do a watch along. That actually segues nicely into La Liga, where on Saturday, Atletico Madrid won with a score of... Come on. I don't need to tell you. You can already guess by now. It's been like this all season. Here, let's say it together. 1-0. Yes, that's right. They won 1-0 against Getafe, thus snapping Getafe's 5-match unbeaten run. Surprisingly, Atletico didn't rest many of their top guns in preparation for their big Europa League final, but hey, trust in Simeone, I guess, right? Real Madrid had a great run out against Celta Vigo for their final home match of the season, winning 6-0. Bale and Isco both got the start and both got in on the scoring, with Bale scoring his 4th brace of the season, taking his goal count up to 15 from just 25 appearances. Not bad at all for a player considered to be disposable at Real Madrid. I guess he does get a lot of those appearances against the lower teams, but... Karim Benzema didn't grab a goal himself, but he set up the young Moroccan right-back Achraf Hakimi for his 2nd goal in 9 appearances. Also not bad at all. For a young right-back, hey. And finally, in Spain, Barcelona's dream of an unbeaten season came to an end at the hands of 15th place Levante and their 21-year-old Ghanaian striker, Emmanuel Boateng. Boateng became not only the first player to score a brace against Barcelona all season, but he went on and scored a damn hat-trick. The first player to score a hat-trick against Barcelona in La Liga since 2005, when Diego Forlan did it for Villarreal. Insane, 13 years. He wasn't the only hat-trick hero on the day, however, as Philippe Coutinho also grabbed one, taking his season tally up to 7. Coupled with his 5 assists, he's been involved in 12 goals in just 17 appearances. Not too shabby, and just 1 assist short of his season tally with Liverpool. So with a final score of 5-4 in favor of Levante, Barcelona of course lost their first match of the La Liga season. In fact, this was their first loss in La Liga since April of 2017, exactly 400 days ago. Wild. And in Italy, despite Napoli defeating Sampdoria 2-0, Juve got the draw they needed to mathematically clinch the Serie A title. In doing so, they clinched an unprecedented 7th consecutive Scudetto, while also holding on to their 22nd clean sheet in the Serie A this season, also a record. Perhaps as legendary as the club, Gianluigi Buffon became the first player ever to win 9 Serie A titles. Also, respect to Maxi Allegri as he became the first manager in history to win 4 consecutive domestic doubles. On the other side of that, the point was enough for Roma to clinch a Champions League spot for next season. There's still one Champions League spot up for grabs to be fought out by Lazio and Inter. And you know what the best part of it is? These two teams play each other next weekend on the final match day. So here's the scenario. If Inter win, they get the final UCL spot. If Lazio win, they get the final UCL spot. If they draw, Lazio will hold on to the final UCL spot. Lazio will be encouraged by the fact that they will be playing at home. Oh! And don't forget that this sees Ciro Immobile and Mauro Icardi going head-to-head for the Golden Boot, as Immobile has 29 goals and Icardi has 28. It should be a banger. Alright, that's it from me here today. Now you're in the know about everything in the top 5 leagues as they all sort of wind down, or have wound down. So, we'll have a watch along on Wednesday, and I have a double upload for you today. Appreciate you watching this video. My name is Adrian, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!